we have everybody here on the first case in the interest of Selena Gamino?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe so. We have several witnesses. I do not know if the mother is present, and I have received no information about whether or not she has an attorney.
The mother, I believe, is present, Your Honor. And when I went out to visit the child, she did mention that she was wanting to request an attorney.
Okay. So, Ms. Basnet, you're the ad litem, I presume.
Yes, Judge. And the mother currently has the child. And so that's when I went out and visited the child.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I would advise the court that the information for how to obtain appointed attorney has been given to the mother twice. First by CASA at a visitation at the home where I believe the ad litem was present as well. And then I understand that CPS gave that written information to her yesterday.
Okay. I believe Ms. Peters is on this call. And Ms. Peters, have you received anything? Well, let me ask, is the mother present?
Yes.
Okay, that's you, man. Okay. Have you submitted those the affidavits that were given to you, ma'am? Did you submit those to the district clerk's office and or the indigent defense coordinator?
I believe I did. I'm not sure.
Okay. You mean you're not sure if where would you, do you recall where you sent them or dropped them off?
Like any type of paper? Well, what kind of paperwork? Because all I have is just these court things, and then they just told me to be on the Zoom thing today, you know?
Okay, but I'm talking about for an attorney. Did you fill out an affidavit for an attorney?
Oh, no, I thought I could do that today whenever I was on the court, like right here.
Yeah, well, we'll need to get that done pretty quickly. Well, I thought I had Miss Peters here, but it just dropped.
And Your Honor, before the court simply passes the case, we have some further information to raise to the court about concerns about the custody of the child at this time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get Miss Peters. Miss Peters, can you hear me? Maybe it's not her. Is Courtney Peters here?
She shows muted on my screen, Judge, if that's Courtney's iPhone.
Yeah, that's what I see. I just don't know. It may not be her. It may be something.
And now it's disappeared.
Yeah. So, ma'am, you are requesting an attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Means, what did you want to raise?
Your Honor, we've received information.
Since on the record, Judge?
No, not just yet. I mean, is this part of the hearing that's set for today? Oh, hold on a second. I don't really want to do much until I know about the attorney situation.
I understand, Your Honor, and I don't believe this needs to be on the record yet, and I'll try not to avoid trying to introduce much evidence through my argument to the court. But we do have concerns to raise about the current placement of the child. The status is that the child is currently still in the mother's custody. Initially, she was when the child was initially not returned to the mother. As the circumstances developed on the evening, she was placed with the grandmother of the child and the mother of the mother, and the mother lives there as well, or lived there that night at least. But since then, we have concerning information about the child not remaining there, and we have more information about the condition of the child, and we have more concerns to raise that if the hearing can't proceed today, I believe that the department will be in a position of having to present another motion to the court for removal before this hearing can occur.
Okay. Miss Peters, are you able to hear
Yes, I apologize. I had CCL cord on my laptop, and for some reason, I just couldn't hear y'all on my cell phone.
Okay, that's fine. Have you received an affidavit from an attorney from the mother in this case? And ma'am, I'm sorry, your name is Daisy Gamino?
Yes, sir.
No, Judge, I have not. Haven't received anything from her or the clerk's office.
Okay. Mrs. Peters, can you coordinate with Ms. Gamino now to see how she can get you an affidavit so we can get the ball rolling?
Yes, Judge. Miss Gamino, what is your email address? And I can forward you one right now.
Daisy Gamino 65 at gmail.com.
Okay, DAISY.
GAMINO 65 at gmail.com.
65 at gmail.com. Okay, I'm going to send you one right now. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, it's very important that when you get that you fill it out today and get it back to her today.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm not real keen on starting a hearing without you having an attorney.
Yes, sir.
What about okay, so I guess we need to go on the record so we can continue this. If that's what, I don't know if that's going, well, I don't know if the mother's going to ask for, if the department's going to ask for the ad litem, but that's kind of what it sounds like, but I could be wrong. I know I would not be comfortable going forward with until she has counsel. So anyway, we'll go on the record in D21 29738 CV in the interest of Celini Marie Gamino. I have the department present. Randall Means, the attorney ad litem for the child is present. Ashley Bazinet, the mother is present without counsel. My understanding is the mother is seeking court-appointed counsel. And so I guess what I'll ask, I guess I shouldn't assume, but Ms. Gamino, are you wishing to have an attorney, if you qualify for one, to have that attorney present with you for this hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anything from the department or the ad litem?
Your Honor, I have evidence prepared to establish that the mother was given the information and told about how to seek an attorney over a week ago before this hearing occurred. And that was explained to her. And I have a witness that can testify to that this morning. And then she was also given the information face-to-face in written form by the department yesterday. And so the idea that she doesn't know anything about it until today, we can test, and that's a part of our concern about the child remaining in the current custody status that she's in. I guess off the top of my head, probably the only procedural way that we can proceed is the department, I guess, is in the position of, if we want to seek a new petition with the court, we can do so. So I'm equally concerned about the court proceeding with the hearing today without the mother having representation. But I do want the court to know about our concerns about the current custody of the child. And I guess I'm correct. The only alternative we have is to seek a further petition to the court on that issue.
Well, I think the record's clear at this point that the mother, Ms. Gamino, has received, and I'm not saying that she hadn't received it before, but at least we're on the record now, and there's the record can reflect that the indigent defense coordinator has sent her a form. Ms. Peters, while you're here, what is the best way for her to get that back to you today?
She'll just need to email it back to me at the same email address. I'm going to send it to her. That'd be the best.
Okay. Did you hear that, ma'am?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. Ms. Bazinet, did you have anything you wanted to add or offer? Or?
No, Judge. I mean, I understand the department's concern, but I want to ensure that her right to counsel is heard and allowed at this point in order to ensure that we're not having to do this process all over again.
I agree. All right, Ms. Gamino, I need you to get that done when we're done with this hearing. All right.
Hey, have you seen DK? Hey, if you see him, can you tell him I'm looking for him?
Ms.
Yes, sir.
Camino?
I heard you, sir.
All right, let's make sure that's the top one thing we do right now when we get off this hearing.
Judge, I believe it's also important that for Ms. Peters to have personal contact with Ms. Gamino, to be able to call her, speak her on the phone, and I would ask the court to advise Ms. Camino of that.
Yeah, I bet that email will contain her cell or her office number. Okay, Ms. Camino?
Yes, sir. I checked my email just now, but I didn't receive nothing. Am I supposed to be receiving something right now, or?
I'm fixing to send it right now. I apologize. I'm going between two courts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, ma'am. I guess at this point in time.
So what's gonna happen? You're just waiting for my thing for me to submit it, and then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm going to continue this, but hopefully for not a very long period of time. But I understand there could be other petitions coming forward. So, all right. Anything further? And the record can reflect Casas here too. Sorry about that. All right. I'll continue this. We'll get a reset day. All right. Ms. Gamino, you're free to go.
Okay. I'll have that submitted, and I just wait, or.
No, I've continued the case so you can fill this form out, and if you qualify, you'll have an attorney appointed to represent you in this proceeding that was set for this morning. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And I just emailed it too, so.
Okay. Well, hey, ma'am, before you leave, can you check your email now to make sure you've gotten it?
Yes. Do I just click it, or?
Yes, ma'am. You'll need to open up the attachment. It's a Microsoft Word attachment. It's a one-page application.
And ma'am, if you're not able to do that, you're welcome to come to the courthouse. The applications are on the second floor outside of the courtroom. Okay.
Where is it at? In Corsicana?
Yes, ma'am. The courthouse.
Okay.
Your Honor, we would also ask if the mother would make the child available for CPS to meet with her today.
Was that a yes or a no, or I didn't hear?
I'm sorry. I'm actually her daughter.
Hello?
I'm sorry, who's speaking and where are you?
Oh, I am the daughter of my mother, Alberta Gamino, which is the mother of Daisy. And she did have to work today, unfortunately. So the lady who came by yesterday did ask me if I could please attend the court meeting for my mother. And I said, I said, okay. And I'm here.
Okay, well, the question was addressed to is the mother still?
Yes,
Here
I'm still here.
And Ms. Camino, would you make the child available for CPS to meet with you today?
Where? What time?
Ma'am, I think the question is, I don't know. You're not a participant in this case. If the mother can respond.
What time?
If you'll answer your phone, ma'am, they'll contact you this morning, all right?
Okay.
And please respond to when they call you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. I'm pretty sure when we have this hearing, we will be back in the courtroom and make it easier for everybody. All right. I guess we'll go to the next one. Hinga Frazier. I don't see Mr. Green though. Is he in another hearing?
I do not know, Your Honor.
Let's see. Was Mr. Green even on this case?
Judge, Judge, he got appointed just recently,
Uh-huh.
after Mr. Meyer's withdrawal.
Gotcha. I was wondering why I don't see his name anywhere, but now it makes sense. I wonder if he even knew about today's hearing since he just got appointed.
Believe he does, Judge. I know I've had communication from him about his representation and seeking records and filing an answer. I have not spoken to him directly about this hearing.
Do what? Okay, he may be in the county court at law right now. Well, I would rather kind of wait a little bit.
Your Honor, while we're waiting on Mr. Green, I have just some procedural questions about what the settings are in this case. I know there was an order consolidating the two cases, but I have two sets of trial dates and hearing dates, and I'm confused as to what dates are actual dates and what are not.
That's a good question.
I'm sorry, are we talking about Hinga? Which case are we talking about?
Yes.
This is Frankie Knox Frazier.
And so that case has been consolidated with the Hinga case.
Oh,
And so I have another permanency hearing on the 22nd of July. And that appears to be in both cases. And then I have a jury trial date on September the 13th, and then I have another jury trial date on November the 1st. So I don't know which pretrial and trial date are real.
Is there any way we could just submit like a new scheduling order that clearly defines what the hearing dates are? That may be the best way to go forward. I don't know. That's just my thought, just to give us a piece of paper where everybody knows what all the dates are for it.
it may make it a lot easier. While we're waiting for Mr. Green to get here, Ms. Watkins, is your client, or Ms. Batson, is your client here?
My client is at work, so he is not going to be present.
I do not see my client here.
But yeah, back to your original, it may make it easier. If they've in fact been consolidated, I'm looking, did I do a consolidation order?
I believe there was, Your Honor.
Sorry, Judge, I don't have it in front of me now, but I believe Ms. Watkins is correct.
Okay.
Randall, do you mind seeing if y'all can submit like a new scheduling order or try to figure out the dates and we can file a new discovery or scheduling order so we can get all of this straightened out?
Yes, I believe we can. I think I need to verify and double check how the dismissal dates compare to the two cases to figure out probably proceed based on the earliest dismissal date. I'm actually not clear as to how consolidation affects that, but I would assume that the acting on the earliest dismissal date for the first case would be the best practice. But yes, we can do that.
That would just be really helpful because Tamara, I'm the same way. I'm trying to get my calendar figured out which one is actually a hearing date and which one is not a hearing date.
And I appreciate you raising that because I had overlooked that issue, Ms. Watkins. Thank you.
Anyone have a way to get in touch with Mr. Green?
I have texted him, Judge, and I haven't gotten a response back.
Okay.
Your Honor, I noticed the mother on the Camino case is still online. Maybe she doesn't understand that she can leave the hearing.
Oh, yeah, Ms. Camino, you're free to go. You can stay as well, but you're free to go if you'd like.
I'm sorry.
You're free to go. You can go.
Oh, I'm done.
Yes, ma'am. For
Okay.
today.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Judge, you mentioned that we would likely be in person for that next setting. Has the court made or is the court planning on making a determination as to when in-person hearings are going to come back?
It's coming pretty quickly,
Okay.
so.
Close to the chest, apparently.
No, I haven't. Oh, yeah. Mr. Green was waiting in another waiting room from a day or two ago. So I told him he was living in the past. But now we are here back to the future. Welcome to June 17th.
I was living in the past. I apologize.
That's all right. And I know, Mr. Green, this is your first time appearing in this case. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Can't talk about it.
And apparently these kids are young, so I haven't talked to the kids. I'm going to go watch a visit next week because they're pretty young kids.
Yes. Okay. And so since we've consolidated these cases, there's more than just one child that I need to bring up today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your
Yes,
Honor.
Your Honor.
There's three.
You have three children, Judge. The first case that was filed was in the name of Frankie Frazier was the first child. He was a newborn. He's 8 months old now. And then
Yes.
the second case involved the next two children, Isabella and Felix, are the two first names.
Okay, gotcha. And I'm assuming it was consolidated into the lower case number.
I believe that's correct, Judge. You have the first case filed.
Yeah, okay. We'll go on the record in D-20-291-45-CV, the interest of Frankie Knox Frazier and Isabella Hinga and Felix Hinga, children. I have Randall Means present for the department. Casa's present. The mother is present through counsel of record, Demara Watkins. Father's present through counsel of record, Ashley Basnett. And then Neil Green is present as of today for his first hearing. He was recently appointed to represent the children in this case. Mr. Myers had filed and motion to withdraw had been granted. So this is a first permanency hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You may call your first witness.
Call Grace Ford.
All right, Ms. Ford, do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may proceed.
Ms. Ford, are you the CPS caseworker assigned to the case involving all three of these children, Isabella Hinga, Felix Hinga, and Frankie Frazier?
Yes, I am.
And just to clarify for the court, even though the last names are different, are both of the parents in this case the parents of all three of these children?
Yes.
What is the current placement of the children?
Isabella and Felix are placed together with their paternal grandmother and step grandfather, and Frankie is currently still placed in a foster home.
And just generally, what's the basis for the separation of the children? Is it because of the infancy? Can you summarize that for us? I'm sorry.
Well, Frankie was removed first and placed into foster care, but when the other two children came into care, a home study was done, and it was done only for the other two children. There was also some issues with Isabella's behaviors and Felix's behaviors. They were quite aggressive with one another. So I wanted to be sure that the parents, the family were able to handle those behaviors, and that these behaviors could get under control before adding Frankie into the mix.
Is it the objective of the department to ultimately, as soon as possible, try to unite all three of the siblings in the same home when the homes are appropriate for that?
Yes, I did actually go visit the home of the grandparents yesterday to discuss this with them. I told them that they would need to install baby gates on the staircase and get the crib set up and get the car seat.
But as soon as these things are verified to be in the home, I do plan on, I also need to get my supervisor's approval, but as soon as I get the supervisor's approval, then I do plan to move Frankie into the grandparents' home with his siblings.
Does the grandparents' home appear to be suitable to handle all three of the children, subject to their ability to care for the children themselves?
Yes.
Let's go take Isabella and Felix together in the home that they're in. How are they doing in their current placement?
They have made great improvements since moving in with the grandparents. Isabella does still have some issues with not wanting to share and pushing her little brother, but she's not as aggressive as she was before moving into that home. She has been attending weekly skills training with Covenant Kids Behavioral Health, which has been helping her work with her attention span and following directions. Felix is doing well in the home. He's in good health, and his vocabulary has expanded since being placed with his grandparents.
Now, Isabella is age 5 and Felix is age 2. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned a Covenant Kids. Is that the only therapy that or counseling that Isabella is going through at this time?
Yes.
Is she undergoing any sort of medication or any further medical treatment?
No, she's not on any kind of medication. She did have some major dental work done in March, where they capped off some of her teeth and took care of some of the cavities that she had.
Are there any further services you think need to be provided to Isabella at this time, or is the therapy that she's receiving with Covenant Kids sufficient from CPS's point of view at this point?
I don't believe that she requires any additional services. I would like to see her enrolled into kindergarten in this fall, which we did discuss last night.
Now, Felix is only 2. Is it appropriate at this point for him to receive any sort of a play therapy? Or you mentioned his vocabulary issues. Is there anything appropriate that needs to be done with that, or is that being taken care of within the placement, within the family, just the normal living conditions?
I believe that's being taken care of within the family. He was attending ECI for speech therapy when he was in the foster home, but it was not effective. He's a very shy little boy and does not like to have attention given to him, and he does not like phones and tablets. So anytime they would try to do a Zoom call with a therapist, he literally would run away. So it was not effective for him. But he, like I said, his vocabulary has grown since being in this placement. So I think he's doing fine as he is.
Was there any dental work involved with Frankie? Excuse me, Felix. I'm sorry.
Felix, yes, Felix also had dental work done the same day as his sister, and they scaled some of his teeth.
Are there any further services needed to service Felix?
No.
Do you recommend that the placement of both Felix and Isabella continue in its current situation?
Yes.
Is that in their best interest from CPS's point of view?
Yes.
All right. Are either one of the parents currently able to take Isabella and Felix back into their care at this time?
Not at this time.
Right. Now, with respect to Frankie, how's he doing in his foster care?
Frankie's doing very well. He has been developing normally for his age. He's 8 months old. He's able to sit unassisted. He's starting to crawl, and he's starting to stand on his own. He's gotten like 6 teeth within the last couple of weeks. So he's been a little bit cranky, but otherwise, he's only had, minor illnesses like, little viruses and ear infections over the last couple of months. He did have some issues at first after he was born, but those have all seemed to have resolved themselves.
With respect to all 3 of the children, is there a medical plan in place, and do you recommend that the court accept that plan with respect to all 3 of the children and their medical treatment? I'm sorry, didn't hear your answer.
Yes.
Thank you. And with respect to Frankie, subject to the issues you've explained earlier about trying to reunite all 3 of the siblings in the single placement, is the current placement for Frankie in his best interest?
It is at this time, yes.
You recommend that continue?
Yes.
Now, moving to the parents, what sort of visitation is arranged at this time for the parents?
Right now we have visits at the CPS office for 2 hours every week. That is with Isabella, Felix, and Frankie. But also since the father has been working a 8 to 5 job, his mother has been supervising some out of office visitation, like going to the park with them so that he can see Isabella and Felix.
And his mother is the paternal grandmother that currently has the placement for Isabella and Felix?
Yes.
How about the mother's participation in visitation?
She's been doing well during visitation. She's been consistent on attending the visits. She brings diapers and food for the baby and toys for the little kids. I have been trying to get her to stop providing Isabella with the phone during her visits and try to interact with her more because it seems that she's just been giving her the phone to keep her busy and keep her from so that she could give more attention to the baby and to Felix. But she's been doing better with that over the last couple of visits.
Has the department been able to observe any of the visitation between the father and the child? The children?
Yes, Mr. Hinga was able to come to a visit. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago. He was able to take the day off and come up to the office. And I think he was able to come to a visit maybe about a month and a half ago as well. And he does well in the visits as well.
Now, with respect to services, is there a service plan in place for both parents?
Yes.
Let's take the mother first. What sort of services are arranged for her, and what progress has she made in starting any of those?
Miss Omenkar has completed her psychosocial assessment as well as her substance abuse assessments. She has been attending parenting and individual therapy. And she has done some of her substance abuse counseling classes, although for about a month there she had stopped attending that. But she has recently resumed those classes, I'd say about a couple of weeks ago.
So the parenting is in process and has not been completed, is that right?
Correct.
Is that the same with the individual counseling?
Correct.
And now the substance abuse, was there a reason or explanation as to why she stopped the participation?
She just said she didn't really like the personality of her counselor, but she has gone back to attending those.
Are there any other services in terms of specific classes or things that the parents are required to complete by the department in the service plan that have not been started yet?
Miss Omenkar has started each of her services.
How about employment of Ms. Omenkar?
She was unemployed for a while, but has recently gone back to working at the gas station she was working at the beginning of the case. So she is currently employed, I believe, part-time.
Is she providing documentation of that to the department as required?
No, not yet.
What about her living arrangements? What has she told the department about that?
She is living in an apartment with Mr. Fraser. This is the same apartment that she was at when this case started. She was homeless for a little while, but that was only because she had let her mother take over her apartment when she had the older 2 children. But when those 2 children were removed, the mother left and went back to Houston, and so Ms. Omenkar took over her apartment again.
And now Mr. Hinga lives in the apartment with her at this time?
Yes, Mr. Hinga does live with her.
With respect to Mr. Hinga and his services, what has he completed in terms of his services?
Mr. Hinga has completed his psychosocial assessment as well as his substance abuse assessment. He has started his parenting classes and his counseling. He has not yet started his substance abuse classes. We have discussed this, and he has stated that he would start them, but he just hasn't started them yet.
And does he have all the information necessary and how to get that started and who to contact, et cetera?
Yes, he does.
Is there anything further the department needs to do to make those services available to Mr. Hinger? Or is it all in his responsibility at this point?
No, he has the information, and he should be able to get a hold of her. If he has any issues with getting a hold of her, then I can reach out to the counselor for him.
Was there any reason or explanation as to the delay in the substance abuse counseling for Mr. Hinger?
No,
sorry.
he didn't. No, he did not provide me with any reasoning.
With respect to both of the parents, is there any further services the department feels should be recommended or required of either of the parents?
No.
Do you feel at this time that either of the parents are able to provide a safe environment for the children to be returned to them at this point?
Not at this point.
And can you summarize just why not in general? I assume it's part of the services. Is there anything else involved?
Because up to this point, I've not been able to get a negative drug screening from Ms. Omankar. She does state that she has been clean for about a month. The last drug screen I got from her was May 21st, and that was still positive for marijuana. I've been trying to get her in to get a drug test this past week, but there have been issues with her trying to get in after 5 p.m. At the testing center.
Is testing available on the weekend as well?
Testing's available by appointment after hours, but she's met some resistance from NAVCO this week. But I believe that NAVCO told her she could come this Friday at 5 p.m.
So rather than that being a random test, it's very scheduled in advance, it appears, correct?
Due to Mr. Hinga's work hours, yes, scheduled.
Now, okay, now I want to be clear. Let me focus on just Ms. Omankar first with respect to her drug screen. Is she the one that has the problem attending has to schedule after hours?
Yes.
Okay. I may have misunderstood. I thought you said Mr. Hinger there at the last point.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, both of them are working right now, and so they both need it after 5.
All right. In addition to the positive marijuana test in May, has she given any other positive tests or negative tests with the department during the case?
Ms. Omankar, all of her tests that she's had up to date have all been positive.
And all for marijuana or anything else?
They've all been positive for marijuana. I believe her last positive for anything else for methamphetamine. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look. Let's see. Her last positive for methamphetamine was a hair follicle in March.
Moving to Mr. Hinga, is he drug testing as well?
Yes, he is.
And what's been his record with drug tests?
His have all been negative.
Has he missed any tests or taken all that have been required?
He has taken all of them that have been asked.
And with respect to Mrs. Omankar, has she missed any tests or taken every one that's been required?
She's taken all of her tests.
Taking all the evidence together, do you recommend that the children currently continue to need substitute care?
Yes.
And do you recommend that they remain in their current placements, subject to the conditions you described earlier about trying to reunite the children?
Yes.
Do you believe that the current placement of all 3 of the children is in the children's best interest?
I do.
Your Honor, I pass the witness.
Ms. Watkins, do you have any questions for this witness?
Just a few, Your Honor. Good morning, Grace. Can you tell me who the counselor is, the drug counselor for Ms. Omankar?
It's Erica Barraza.
And are there other drug counselors that CPS could consider for Ms. Omenkar if the personality conflict continues with Ms. Barraza?
There are, I'm just not aware of any in that come to the Corsicana area, but I could look into some that are in possibly the Dallas area.
You would agree with me that it would be important for there to be some trust issues and just in general for Ms. Omenkar to be able to trust her counselor and rely upon her and have a good rapport.
Yes.
Okay. And so have you discussed the personality issue with Ms. Omenkar?
Only briefly. She just stated that Miss Barraza is a little too what was the word? Kind of rough for her, I guess. Miss Omenkar prefers somebody who's a little more, I guess, empathetic.
Do you think that that is just based on Miss Omenkar's personality herself, or is there any kind of cultural issue that you might be aware of?
I mean, I'm not sure if it's cultural based or personality based. It seems personality based to me, but I wouldn't doubt that it could be cultural as well.
So if in the next couple of weeks, if things are not improving with that relationship, you would be open to trying to find someone else for her if we brought that up to you?
Yes.
Okay. Does CPS have any objection to Mr. Frazier and Ms. Hinga living together as long as that they are both drug-free?
No, I don't have any objection to that.
Okay. So this case didn't involve any underlying domestic violence issues that would prohibit CPS from giving the kids back. The parents work all their services and are still together at the end of this and are drug-free.
There aren't any current domestic violence issues. There have been some in the past, but it has been over 5 years since the last reported domestic violence issue between them.
So that's not going to be a barrier to them being together is not going to be a barrier to the department recommending that the kids go back. I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Ms. Bassnett?
Judge, Grace, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
What is the permanency goal in this case?
At this point, it's adoption by the relatives.
Right. And what is the reasoning for that permanency goal?
It is because of the lack of sobriety for Ms. Omenkar and the lack of progress on the services. But I have explained to the parents that if we are able to get consecutive negative drug screens and I can see that they're working services, that we can go back to reunification.
Now, my client is engaged in all of his services except for the substance abuse counseling. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And just to clarify, the substance abuse counseling is not because of any drug use or drug history for my client, correct?
Correct.
The primary reason why the department wants him to be involved with this counseling is to recognize warning signs from his partner.
That's correct.
And isn't it also correct that my client has not ever at any point refused to do the service for the substance abuse counseling?
That's correct.
And just recently you had a conversation with him to clarify exactly what he needs to do in order to start that service.
Yes.
And he is doing all of these services while working a full-time job Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Is that right?
Yes, he is.
You'd mentioned the visitation with the older two kids. Is my client able to get any visitation with the youngest child outside of being supervised by the department?
Not at the moment, but once Frankie has moved in with the grandparents, then he should be able to have the same access to him that he has with Isabella and Felix.
And is the department in any way penalizing him or seeing it in a negative light that he's not able to make these visitations due to his work schedule?
No, not at all.
Is the primary concern with being able to return the children to my client just based solely on the fact that he is living with the mother in this case and she has not demonstrated a period of sobriety?
Yes.
And is my client, in your opinion, actively complying with the services?
Yes, he is.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Green?
Yes, Ms. Ford, you said, so we've got the two older kids living with the grandparents, and the younger child is living with a foster family. You mentioned a minute ago that you thought that he would eventually get moved in with the grandparents.
Yes, that is our hope. I just need to get a home assessment addendum signed off on by my supervisor and verify that the baby gates and the crib have been assembled. They were working on that last night.
So you may have said this, I think you probably did a while ago, but why wasn't the baby placed with the grandparents at the beginning?
At the beginning, Frankie was removed and placed into foster care. I don't remember why he wasn't. At the very beginning of the case, Mr. Hanger, I'm sorry, was living with his parents at the very beginning of the case. So that's why at the beginning, the kids couldn't be placed into that home. But there was also issues once he did move out and the other two kids moved in. We were worried about Isabella and Felix's aggression and didn't want to place the baby in there if Isabella was still being physically aggressive.
Gotcha. But eventually you'd like for that to happen because it's good to have siblings together, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And y'all are actively working on that at this point.
We are.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Means, any further questions of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Watkins or Ms. Bassnett?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other witnesses from the department?
Yes, Your Honor. We'll call Betsy Metcalf.
All right, Ms. Metcalf, if you can raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Ms. Metcalf, are you the CASA volunteer currently working with the children, both the Hinga children and the Frankie Frazier?
I am.
And can you tell us what sort of contact have you been able to have with the children? If you need to take them in chronological order or how it went, that would help us. So if you could just give us a summary there of the contact you've had.
I attend the weekly visitations at CPS when they bring Frankie in. And in the past, I have also participated in transporting Frankie down to Corsicana for the visitations. Frankie is now, he moved from a location in Frisco to McKinney. So it's quite a trek for little Frankie to come down for visitations, but I see them weekly.
And those are all at the CPS office?
Yes, and I've also done home visits and seen Isabella and Felix in their grandparents' home. And I was with Grace yesterday when she visited the home.
Have you had occasion to observe any of the visitation between the older children and either one of the parents?
Yes, I see it weekly. I've only seen the father a few times because he hasn't been able to make visitations because of his working schedule.
So if I understand, you've seen all of the visitation between the mother and the older children at the CPS office. And then your opportunity to see the father's visitation has been sporadic. Is that because of his sporadic visits, or have you been unable to observe any of his visitation that you know has occurred?
No, I've been there when he's been there, but his visitation has been sporadic due to his work schedule. And that was just, that's just something that happens. He has to work.
Does the CASA have any concerns about what you've observed from the visitation with either one of the parents and any of the children?
No, I have seen an increase in a loving relationship between the children and their grandparents. And I have seen a marked improvement in Zabella's behavior. Felix is actually getting a little better. He was not speaking, and the words he would speak were just single words. He's starting to put things together now. So it's a very pleasing thing to see that there's improvement since they were moved into their grandparents' home.
Do you have any recommendation for any additional services that need to be provided to any of the children or to assist the grandparents or the parents at this time?
Well, I believe that Zabella should be, it would do better to have Zabella in some kind of play situation where she learns not to act aggressively towards others. I think when she goes to kindergarten, that'll be good for, hopefully she'll get some more socialization there.
Are you satisfied at this time with the current placement for all three of the children?
Yes,
Do you recommend that placement is in the children's best interest and that it continue?
yes.
Your Honor, I pass the witness.
Ms. Watkins, any questions of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Basnet?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Green?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Means, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I rest.
All right, does Ms. Watkins, do you have any witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor, we'd rest.
Okay, and Ms. Basnet?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Mr. Green?
I rest as well, Your Honor.
All right, does any of the parties wish to give closing arguments or prepare for the court to rule?
Your Honor, I'm prepared for the court to rule. We just ask for the placement to continue and the court to continue the existing orders.
Okay, any other parties?
Just briefly, Your Honor, we'd request for the court to make a finding that my client is in compliance with the service plan, although has not completed it.
I understand that.
Judge, that's my request as well.
Okay. All right, based on the testimony that I've heard, I'll find the current orders in effect are in the best interest of the children. I'll make findings that both parents, while they haven't completed their plans, they are working on their plans at this time to satisfaction. So I'll sign an order when it's presented. And I believe that concludes this hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
And
you,
y'all,
Your
and Mr. Green, I don't think you were here when we first started. We weren't even on the record yet, but there was discussions about getting since these cases have been consolidated, get one scheduling order, so we don't have two competing scheduling orders. So,
Okay. Makes
all right.
sense to me.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Y'all have a good day.
You too.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. And yourself, Your Honor?
Good. I think we were going to do this hearing last week or sometime recently, but there was no service. Has service been done now?
Yes, Your Honor. Service was perfected on June 11th, and we
Yes.
filed it June 16th.
Okay. I see it right here. I guess we'll get his name called 3 times. His name is Zachary Starkey.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the AG, are they going to be here today?
No, Your Honor, we're not asking for a change in support levels.
All right. Okay, we will go on the record then and cause number D15 24270-AG in the interest of Kinsley Marie Starkey, a child. I have counsel for the petitioner in this case present, represented by Jesse Munguia. The respondent's name will be called three times, and there's been no response. It seems like we were here in January 17th of 2020. Court has a note here. He was in TDC. I don't know if that is, and I remember your pleadings indicated that either he was soon to be out or was already out. But anyway, that's probably part of the case. So nevertheless, there's been no response. There's nobody in the waiting room on Zoom. So you may give an opening statement or call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Allison Hadaway.
All right, ma'am, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? You'll have to unmute yourself.
If you move your mouse or anything, it's at the bottom left. Or if you're using a tablet, it's at the very top. There we go.
Okay, sorry, it was like blocked for some reason, but I swear.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hadaway, are you asking the court, you're asking the court to appoint you as the sole managing conservator of your daughter, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're asking the court, at least on temporary orders, to suspend the father's visitation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, to give a little background for the court, your husband is currently, or excuse me, the respondent is currently out on parole. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. However, the respondent has a warrant for his arrest out of Ellis County. Is that also correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And he was recently arrested for narcotics charges. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the reasoning of it was, but I do know he was recently arrested.
Okay. Now, in regards to your, the respondent has had issues with drugs in the past. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And do you believe he is now, his issues with drugs have resurfaced?
Yes, sir, I do think so.
Okay. And why do you think that?
I've had his family come forward and tell me he has a younger sister who called me sometime last month and let me know that he had threatened to shoot her one day because he was using spit in her face And then actually last night, his mother called me to let me know that someone that lives by me picked him up when he was running from the cops, that they were both using, and she just wanted me to be aware that they may be coming towards my house.
Okay.
So his mother and his sister have both been ones to tell me.
Okay. And as you said, this is his family coming
Yes.
to you to tell you things to protect you and your child. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so given the fact that he's on parole, we've got a warrant for his arrest, he was recently arrested, and the concerns coming from his own family, until we can get this sorted and until he can get in and potentially get some help for his drug use, are you simply asking that at this juncture, we just suspend the visitation?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Now, are you asking for any injunction that he be enjoined from coming 1,000 feet from your house or place of employment?
I do think especially the house would be good, just because, like his mother said, he does come out there with people that are known drug users often. So I don't want him to come by one day and just take Kinsley, because we do play outside all the time. She rides her bike while we're standing out in the yard. So it'd be very easy for him to just see her and grab her and take her one day.
Now, as far as you're aware, does the respondent have a residence that's even close to yours?
No, I know his parents live a little kind of close to me, but other than that, I'm not sure where he's actually living right now.
Okay. And as far as you're aware, his parents are not harboring him as he's a fugitive at law?
No, they're not.
Okay. They're simply unsupportive of his choices thus far. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Based on the testimony that the court has received, the court will find the relief that the petitioner is asking for is in the best interest of the child, and the court is granting that request now and will sign an order as soon as it's presented for signature. That concludes this hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
You too, Your Honor. Permission to be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too.